The third critical choice I made was to build trust in myself and then ultimately inspire the trust of others. When I lived with my sister and David and I got clean, when I got clean and sober, we've talked about this before, but that was really the first part of my recovery. My recovery was so much more than that. But at that time, I didn't know that I could trust myself outside of the construct and the safety and the boundaries that my sister had created for me. And I didn't think I could ever inspire the trust of anyone else. So I chose to do that, to start building trust. How have you built trust in yourself? And then we'll get into inspiring the trust of others.
That's a great question. I think you were talking about the comfort of your sister. I had the bubble of being in a program, and then I was in a halfway house, and then I was still in probation for allegedly 3 years. They let me off early because I had done so well, and they didn't want to keep hitting me with these fines. But I will tell you, that was comfortable. I know it sounds awful. Going to take a drug test in front of somebody every week kept me honest. It was easy. Totally. After that, it was like, whoa. What happened was I worked hard during that time, and I worked with a good sponsor, and we did a lot of 12-step work. And by the time I was off probation, I had a pretty clear head. I was dialed in. And so I think it's when you're in that bubble that you have to really work on yourself. And because at the end of the day, it's between you and God. And you got to stay away from relationships, and you got to stay away from all the nonsense. Really, that's hard because addicts were codependent. I used to bounce. I used to call it replacement therapy, and because I didn't have it in me to be alone. And now I have that in me, and it's nice to be able to have the peace of mind to be okay alone, or to just focus on being a dad. When I was younger, it had to be like, now what? Because you need the rush.
Totally. And we're in sales too.
Yeah.
So let's just call it for what it is. That totally plays into to our need for the rush. How do you inspire the trust of others?
Yeah, I always say actions speak louder than words. Like, you don't have to hear, because I can tell you whatever I want. I'm a sales guy. I can tell you how great I am, what I do right. Watch my actions. How do I treat others? How do I treat people who can do nothing for me? Because that's what defines you. What defines you is, what do you do for somebody who there's no gain? There's no skin in the game. Because that's really, if you're doing that, then you're a quality person. Everybody wants to do something for an individual that will make them money, or they have this or that they can help me with. But when you do it for people that don't, then, you look at those people and you look at them a little different.
And how does somebody lose your trust?
Really easy. If you want the truth. I always say life's cutthroat, grab a knife. Like if you're in my world and you do something to betray my trust, it's not minor stuff, but there have been some stuff over the last 6 months that has happened to me, and an individual who was a big part of my life, I just could walk right through. I don't wish them harm. I just don't have the capacity to give you trust if it's not there.
But how about, it might take a lot for me to trust someone. You can just lose it like that.
Yeah. Well, somebody told me once in business, you got to be slow to hire, quick to fire. And I believe that in every aspect of life. I'll let you into my circle slowly. And I'll be generous. Like, if somebody needs something, like an addict or something, I'll be around them. I'll spend time with them. But I won't let them, I won't leave my wallet around them. I won't have them in my house near my kids. But once you're on the inner circle, you screw up, you're gone. I have 2 kids to protect, and I got my recovery to protect. In a business, I got way bigger things on my plate than somebody. And it doesn't have to be somebody who could be an addict or somebody who might have a criminal record. It can be somebody in inside life that you're supposed to trust and be able to rely on. And next thing you know, they're stabbing you in the back.
Yeah. Right. And sometimes that's like the worst because it's not even expected. All right. I want to go back to you building trust in yourself and you inspiring the trust of others. So I am a big believer in do the little things great and great things happen. Just because that's the only way that I've been able to actually create the life that I have is through the little things.
Yeah.
Is there a little thing that you do consistently that has made an impact on building trust?
I think there's 2 things I do every day. I start my day, and the way I start my day is it's a few things, but I always make my side of the bed, because you always want to keep your side of the street clean. I'm not gonna lie. If my wife doesn't make her side, that's her lesson to learn. I used to do it. Then I'm like, what am I doing? I work full time. So I make sure I always make sure I'm side of the bed. I roll out of bed. I pray to a God that I believe in. I'm not only religious as we talked about, but there's something out there, I think. Then I take a little quiet time, and I also work out. And sometimes I work out 15 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20 or 30. But those things, that consistency, anybody who knows me knows what I'm doing every day. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll work out later. My days vary a little, but I'm consistent. I think being consistent, and I think doing the little things like making your bed. Who was it? The guy, I read his book just recently, The Bullfrog.
Oh.
And it was McCraven, Admiral McCraven. And it was awesome because when he spoke at, I believe it was Stanford, he gave the commencement speech. He talked about making your bed because, you go home to a nicely made bed at night. Worst case scenario, you do this. And it's all these little things. Most of us that have success, a guy in my business said, how do you make $1 million a year? I said, well, call your clients once a week, call a few clients. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And what if they have no money? Move. I said, just call them. And he's like, well, and I said, you give me so many wells, you have far more time in your day because you're not nearly at my level. But you can't make the calls. I make those calls. And he's like, and he started making the calls. And he went from making, I think it was 70 grand a year, 100 before expenses. Now he's at like 250 and it's not even halfway through the year. And he said, I didn't know these. I said, of course, because you do the right things, God will reward you. There's an energy out there. If you just touch base with people, eventually someone's going to say, my aunt left me some money, or I have somebody who can use your help. Or maybe you just brighten their goddamn day and you already get paid to service them. So be grateful you have them to call.
Be kind. Do something for them.
I know.
Oh, and the other thing you and I talk about that I'm just going to roll into this is how often we hear, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. But it's not about time. It's about choices. And you make the choice of those little things that you said that you do consistently, but you make the choice of calling your clients and calling those people and being proactive and making it consistent. So let's be clear. We can't make time, but we can make choices. That's my only plug there.
I'm gonna have to say this. At one point, I watched a video by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I told you about this.
Yeah.
And he said, I come to America and I work 8 days a week, hours a day in construction. Then I go to acting class 4 hours. Then I work out 4 hours. Then I sleep, or whatever it was. But he said he sleeps 5 or 6. And he said, somebody said to me, I think I need more sleep. That's not enough sleep. He said, I still do sleep faster. And you know what? That's it. If you want what I have, get up and take it from the world. Get up and chase it. You'll get it. Like, I believe the universe is very forgiving and very giving. And I believe we're meant to have success. Like, God and the universe, we're not meant to fail. Failure is a negative energy that we sometimes fall back into. But when we really want to succeed, if you go push through it, but you also have to push through a lot of no's. When I got out of jail, I was on food stamps and Mass Health. And we're not going back 15 years. I'm going back 9 years. Okay? My house is in foreclosure. I owed $700,000. Today I built a house. I don't carry a note. I drive what I want. I have a business that's nice. I have the luxury. And the most important thing is this. My kids' college is funded. That's the most important thing is I can take care of my kids because my parents tried so hard, but they couldn't do it. It's nice I can give that gift,
Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.